Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Did you remember the card hoarder card this time?
I remember the card. It was there. It was great.
There. I saw it.
You saw it. Ruben Preston.
Oh, hi. How's everyone doing?
It's been a heck of a week.
Indeed.
Wizards dropped some serious epic bombs that we'll get to in just a second. We also get started with our trumpet blasts. Get one. Highest level of Patreon, patreon.com/magicmics. Kick it off with that giveaway in the Twitch chat, ! Raffle. We'll get you in a raffle. We will give a $50 gift certificate to CoolStuffInc.com. Thank you much, Cool Stuff. That said, my God, Wizards dropped the bomb. And my favorite was that someone else actually dropped the bomb at 6 o'clock Eastern instead of 9 o'clock Eastern, because it was right. 6 o'clock Pacific and not 9 o'clock. Okay. Magic the Gathering diving into esports with $10 million and a pro league. Oh boy. Let's see if I can go ahead and get all the top bits here.
Get the goodies.
All the goodies. All right, so the Magic, they're going to have a pro league. All right, the Magic Pro League is going to feature 32 players with $75,000 contracts that will play weekly Magic Arena matches and at Mythic Championships. The info about who will be at the PAX East Mythic Championship.
PAX Easy.
Mythic Championship Invitational will be announced in January. The Pro Tours will become Mythic Championships and increase their prices to $500,000 each. However, there will be no travel funds provided. No travel, no plane tickets, not anymore. And note, that means canceling millions of dollars worth of plane tickets, so you can see where this money kind of moved around. Okay, there won't be 6 Pro Tours in 2019. Wizards is reducing them back to 4, and these are the Tabletop Mythic Championships. That would be Cleveland in February, London in April, Barcelona in July, and Richmond in November. That also means that there is going to be no Pro Tour Sydney and no Pro Tour Dallas, Fort Worth. GPs in 2019 will feature $2.5 million in prizes if you wrap them all up and bundle them and present them, because remember, there's now tiers of Grand Prix. Some Grand Prix have big payouts, some have smaller payouts. And they're all at Magic Fests, those MFers. The 2019 MTG World Championship is going to feature players from Arena. My guess is that half or maybe a quarter of the 32, 75K Pro League people are going to make it to the World Championships. And that's the thing that they can strive for throughout the year, as to make it. I hope you like Nationals, because it's gone.
Yep.
Yet another program that was well beloved and where it was well beloved.
Well, it came with its share of problems too, specifically when it came to certain geographical areas, in terms of, countries like Australia, that were only given sometimes even just one nationals, where it was like, how is that supposed to accommodate everybody? So I feel like the theme of this announcement was, and we'll certainly discuss this a little bit more with the pro players, was, just kind of streamlining things or doing away with things that have just become too problematic to keep going, because you spin the plate one way and then this one's not happy with you and things like that.
Right. The announcements really messed up Australia in particular.
Oh yeah.
They got rid of the Pro Tour in Sydney. They got rid of the World Magic Cup. They got rid of Nats. Australian Magic is going to really hurt a lot as a result of this. I feel really bad for folks like Jason Chung, who I think is New Zealand, not Australia. But other pros who are trying to make it work on the other side of the planet. This is probably all of the opinions that we're going to share are like, oh, this makes sense for people from America. But again, we have a very United States centric viewpoint here, and so there is still a pro tour in Barcelona, but man, it's going to be tough for Japan. It's going to be tough for Brazil. It's going to be rough.
Yeah, they came out and said something like the invites to the Mythic Championships are going to be sort of regional based, so you may not be getting the next one, but then you'll get the one that's sort of near you, which kind of helps offset no travel costs being provided. Like if I win a Pro Tour invite and it's in Barcelona and it's I can't fly to Spain, then that's a problem, and I don't want to lose it. So they kind of said they're doing that, and they said they weren't, and now I'm honestly a little confused and would like for them to clear the air a little bit. Either way, Nationals is gone. I actually got a nice message on Discord, and again, you can join our Discord by being a Patreon, who was a store owner in Thailand, and said that in Thailand, Nationals was a big, big deal. Now, they got GP Bangkok this upcoming year, but they only get that like once every 5 years, he mentions. Right. And he also says, you know, like full disclosure, he was the RPTQ, or he was the Nationals organizer. So he's like, you know, I had a vested interest in this, I want you to know, but I know it was a big deal. He kept the prices low to keep the player count high. Everybody showed up, had a great time. So there are these, you know, these celebrations of Magic that only happen for these types of areas once a year, maybe twice a year. Whereas in America, we're glut full of just all cool events to go to, and stores are doing their own things, and you have the SG stuff on the East Coast, you got Grand Prix all over the place, and to a lot of these people, you know, people like Israel, you know, like places like that this stuff is important, and they live for these things. So we had to cut off something, and it's unfortunate. Nationals kind of led the way, but there's going to be no World Magic Cup. This is the last one coming up. I'll be honest, I'm kind of glad I didn't. I get what it was trying to do. You know what I mean? I enjoyed the idea of let's get the countries together and do sort of an Olympics-esque thing.
It's my favorite event to watch as a spectator, personally.
And that's fair.
Like, I like the Pro Tour. I like the Players Championship kind of stuff, you know, but the camaraderie and the fun of those sort of team events where everyone is fighting, like, you have rooting interests. You get these cool stories like Wales from last year,
sure,
and Italy from the last couple of years, and you know, these little countries that you don't think of when you think of Magic get these chances to shine on the big stage. You get Puerto Rico, Chinese Taipei, all those great stories that we've had over the past couple of years, and the folks who dress up and get the you know, the dressing up awards,
face paint and stuff and all that.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I'm such a sucker for that. I love the World Cup
photos where they put everybody together with the massive flag and they find interesting ways to pose. I love those pictures.
It's like the Olympics. It's like the World Cup. It's like any of that. And I just, you know.
Right. And for what it's worth, those are all wonderful, fantastic things, and I got nothing against them. I think my issue, just sort of like looking at it in terms of like sort of a spectator sport, in terms of what I'm expecting out of the Magic Pro Tour, and knowing this is a part of the Magic Pro Tour, I honestly don't know or really recognize hardly anyone. And after this event, they all usually just like fade away. You never hear of them again.
And again, I agree with that. My thing is,
that's a problem.
when I watch the World Cup and I watch, you know, Burkina Faso playing against Germany, I'm never going to watch anyone playing for, you know, Ethiopia ever playing in a professional league in Europe. I'm not going to watch, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm rooting for the plucky Costa Rica underdogs, hoping that they can take down the big dogs, and they get the chance to play on the big stage, and they get the chance to do that. And you don't hear of them again. But who cares? That you just get to have that sort of, they're representing their country, they get the chance to do it, and there's nowhere, and you can't replicate that. That's what I'm going to miss about it.
And that's fair. But either way, this also marks the end of the team series from 2018 to 2019. The teams...
That I don't care as much about.
Now, I have to say, as somebody who had worked kind of behind the scenes on that, it was a nightmare. You had the jerseys, you had the deadlines, you had, you know, the you know, trying to deal with who was on the team and who wasn't, and what those qualifications were. That was, again, a mess. So good.
It was a good idea that felt good when it got started. You know what I mean? Like the first Pro Tour that had teams and stuff, you're like, oh man, this is really cool. And then as time went on, you got into those really awkward situations of
group photos where like half of them aren't there. They have to put asterisks by it because those people didn't qualify. And then, yeah, it was awkward.
Trying to have it both ways, trying to have teams that are playing in the event, yet players individually have to qualify, meant that you just had really awkward situations where here's a team photo, except that person's not here, so don't look for them or think about them.
Right.
It was weird.
It also got weird around the PTQ time, where like, you know, because some of the PTQs, you know, on the Sundays of a GP were also team, and so it was like if two of you already qualified, you can't bring this person, and yeah, I remember being there for those conversations, and it was never fun.
Well, and here's something I thought I would not say. The Pro Club system and Pro Points will be ending in 2019.
No, yeah, I'm actually happy about that.
And the name Pro Tour is going away. And the Pro Tour Hall of Fame is changing how it's built.
People have wanted that for a long time.
Marshall doesn't get to be the Pro Tour historian anymore. I mean, he gets to keep that.
I like the Pro Club change. You know, I feel like part of the reason why it took so long to see progress when it came to compensating pros is that the definition of pro had become so murky. You know, you had like, I'm a bronze pro, I'm a silver pro, I've won an open pro, you know, and we really just lost, you know, sight of what it meant to be a pro. And so the best metaphor I can have for this is when you find a loose string on your pants or your sweater and you pull the string, but then like every other strand, like it's kind of pumped up a little bit. That's kind of what this was, where it's like, you know, you have Wizards trying to fix the pro problem, but you can't please all of these different types of pros that are out there now. And so I really appreciate them kind of distilling it to, this is a pro. This is who we are, you know, designing this program for. This is who this is catering towards. And, you know, if you happen to fit that very narrow description, you will benefit from these things. But it just got too hard trying to please all of these different levels. And it's like, all right, we're just not doing this anymore. And I was one of the few people who thought it was a really good thing.
I mean, I can only imagine being in the room when they said, we're going to kill the Pro Tour as we know it. We're going to call it something else. Yeah. We're going to get rid of Pro Points. Pro Points have been like this thing.
That's huge. That's enormous.
I cannot put in words how many conversations I've had over the years with Wizards R&D people who work at Wizards at all these crazy different levels. And they're just like, well, the Pro Points are really like the cornerstone of what all this stuff is about. Because if you start changing how many Pro Points you give out or how many Pro Points are available, then all of a sudden it starts to look really wonky. And maybe someone all of a sudden gets more Pro Points than, you know, a classic, you know, Uber player from long ago. And all of it, does that sort of delegitimize the older pros versus the newer pros and so on and so forth. So again, this is monumental that they have killed this. This is all in.
And that they haven't really replaced it yet. So solidly, like that's the thing that's scariest to me is as soon as the announcement dropped, first of all, I don't have the patience to sit through your GD awards show. All right. I don't need to stream a television program it's just a big self-congratulatory navel gaze.
All you have to do is watch the video of Sonic Fox winning his award, and
that's it. I only needed
that part.
Arena announcement, and I needed Elaine Chase, and I needed Sonic Fox, and that's all I needed. I didn't need the rest of this garbage. I also needed the orchestra because all of their music all night was spectacular.
That was spectacular.
Great.
Why is Elaine Chase the only female presenter?
Yeah.
At that entire
at the Game
show?
Awards? That's a Game Awards problem. Magic, good job. That's well done.
Game Awards?
Game Awards, how about you be better?
Come on, buddy. I know. And that thing blew up. It, again, doubled its audience from the year before. That is an actual, factual, large industry event now. And, sure. I mean, they did some stuff like they took Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft on stage at the first time to be like, you know, we're here for games and for gaming. Like, that's a big thing. So, again, being represented by Elaine's amazing, but we could certainly have more female voices in these types of shows. Come on, guys. It's ridiculous. Sure. Anyway, so the Hall of Fame, as you mentioned, will be changing. They're not going to say how or what's going to happen, or if there are people who are going to get invites. Do they even get invites any longer to the Mythic Championships and whatnot? GP Seattle in June 2019 is going to be the last event to feature Pro Points. The very, very last. And that's pretty incredible. That said, Sam Black chimed in. Notable, I think, Gold Pro or maybe Platinum Pro. I'm sure he's Platinum because he's amazing.
Notable Pro.
Platinum in our hearts, if nothing else.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And has been all of the types of medals over the year.
For sure. And won a car at Worlds.
That's right. Won a car with a deck of his own creation that featured Boggart shenanigans.
God bless Sam Black.
Yep.
He's a fantastic player. He notes here on Twitter, a year-long contract might look like job security, but that's not how careers work. Only a couple people have managed to stay in the top 32 over the past 5 years. I wanted the Hall of Fame for job security. Removing gold kind of kills all job security for Magic pros. Yep. Lots of conversation about earning money via content creation, which Sam does, which is great, and how you kind of have to supplement yourself to insulate you from being sort of out on the street because you don't get that $75K contract next year. What you going to do? How are you
Well,
going
I've
to
been
eat?
saying that for years. I think there's a reason why certain pros have sort of stood the test of time because they've, kind of diversified their portfolios, especially some of these younger guys, they've gone all in on sort of this dream and they can't imagine what they're going to do when the ride ends. And, I love that some of these guys are like, okay, I've got my stream thing, I've got my article thing. You have some that are even kind of branching into game design because they know they have that foresight that this may not last forever. And I've been saying that for years. I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, being able to again take your talent and then turn it into doing content on streams and writing articles and making videos and all this other stuff. That stuff really helps insulate you from big changes in a world, in a field, I guess, full of variance.
Absolutely.
You win this event, your life is upside down now, versus you totally bomb this event and maybe there's a problem making rent. That could be a thing.
Those are the swings of being a professional card player. I would know. I played poker professionally for 7 years, and not everybody gets a patch deal, as we call it in poker. Not everybody gets to write articles. Like, there's plenty of room out there. There are lots of content sites. There are half a dozen at least that have a lot of viewership that are willing to pay you a good amount of money to write articles. But it's not everybody. And so the other thing that's interesting, well, first I want to really quickly circle way back to when we have a major event happening at the Penny Arcade Expo, which is kind of a weird partnership for me. Like, is that weird for anybody else that the World Champion event now is going to be at PAX?
No.
Yeah.
I think that's weird. I think that's a little weird.
I think Penny Arcade has been doing their best to get into gamer culture. I mean, comment on gamer culture ever since the 90s. Like, I've been reading those guys forever, it feels like, at this point.
Sure.
They've had children and raised them throughout that comic strip.
I get that PAX is a huge deal, and I love PAX Prime and PAX East and all the stuff that they do, and that they have a huge partnership with both Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons, and that they're a big deal in gamer culture, specifically the types of games that we appreciate: card games, role-playing games, the crunchier old school games. But it's just weird for me. I don't know why.
I agree. I was at the PAX West that Worlds happened at a couple of years ago. Some people have mentioned it in the chat, and I was there for the Battle for Zendikar release, and it definitely felt like the perception from other people. Like, I remember I was in the Learn to Play area, so I was teaching how to play Magic, which is terrifying if you think about it. But people would walk past, and there was just sort of this, oh, what's Magic doing here? Like,
sure.
This hack, don't they know what this is? And we definitely did. I definitely felt like there was some sort of hierarchy, and we were sort of on the bottom of it, where even just kind of walking around, I would run into other volunteers, and it was kind of like in high school where it's like, what are you doing here? And they're like, oh, well, I'm volunteering with this company. And then I'm like, well, I'm with Magic. And they're like, ew. Like, I definitely got the feeling that we were sort of the odd ones out. And I feel like it's something that, Wizards is really trying to jam. And I just wonder if it's really working.
I think Arena is really the game changer. It's really saying that we belong in the video game culture and not just like as the tabletop kids or whatever. Like, we have big animations and good music now. We have voice acting now.
Of the Coast booth at TwitchCon, which I was lucky enough to be a part of, it did not feel like Wizards was the odd kids out. For the first time going to a convention with all of the types of games where Magic is like, hey there, kids, we're also an esport. For the first time, it felt like it actually was, because of the quality of the booth, because of how big it was, because of the presence that they had there. And I don't doubt that they can do the same thing with PAX. I think that Penny Arcade loves Magic. They do a ton of stuff associated with Magic already, let alone having the pro scene have a home there. So it's not that I don't think it can work. It's not that I think it's completely anachronistic. It's just strange to me. And a lot of things are going to be strange to me. I just wanted to point this one out.
And that's fine. And our friend of the show, Pharmacist Judge, notes that Wizards had a very minimal presence at PAX West this year. I don't know exactly what their presence was at PAX Unplugged. I didn't go this year. I went last year. Where they had I recall they had a small...
We're not unplugged anymore. Magic's going to be an esport, so Magic the Gathering isn't going to be a PAX Unplugged. I want to see what they do at PAX South, which is in January.
Now that's the first Mythic Championship that has the Pro League in it.
Right. And I want to see what happens there, because, this is all new and different for everybody. Change is terrifying.
So what we haven't said in the first 19 minutes of this program is Magic Online. And
Yeah, obviously.
Listen.
Magic Online lost its mind over the weekend. Epic crash.
I called it.
Epic crash in value. Estimates of 18% loss of value in standard. This is like across the board, and 30% loss in value over everything else. You can go buy a Shops deck, a Mishra's Workshop vintage deck, every card, Black Lotus, the whole bit, for like $200.
I got a Chalice of the Void for $10. That felt pretty good.
Power has always been cheaper.
Yeah.
Well, been cheaper, yes. But Black Lotus started at $250, $300.
Sure.
Yeah.
And now it's under $20.
But yeah, $10 for a Chalice is like, that's a big deal. And
it's incredible. So it got so bad that the two largest, or at least the two most well-known vendors in Magic Online, MTGO Traders and our co-sponsor, cardhoarder.com, turned off buying. That's incredible. Market anxiety leading to a large volume. So Card Hoarder notes here, over the past couple of days, we've seen a snowballing of market anxiety leading to large volume of collection sales and falling prices. This is a trend that builds on itself. Collection sales lead to a flood of supply, which leads to the price decline, which continues the market anxiety about it, and then people sell more and sell more and sell more, and you just fall all the way to the bottom. And I think it was Saturday or maybe sometime Sunday when the market finally bottomed out. It wasn't going to lose any more value. Everyone stopped buying for a minute. Okay, good. And then they started again later. I think this was on December 10th. So this was on Monday around 11 o'clock in the morning on Eastern time. Card Hoarder said, we have resumed buying both collections and tickets, but they warned people this is not the time to sell. Okay. All those cards that lost value, you can gain it back. Maybe not all of it, but can gain it back and maybe even then some. But it's not going to happen if people continue to sell and sell and sell and sell because they're freaked out.
Yeah, I kind of touched on this last week in that I thought that the Channel Fireball article was a little irresponsible in that you had somebody who might be a good player and might have an extensive Magic Online collection, but who ultimately was not necessarily qualified to make a statement like they did in that, Magic Online is being killed or anything. The fact that you were allowed to publish an article like that and not even have the perspective of a bot chain, like anybody to kind of weigh in on that, I thought was really, really irresponsible. The clickbaity title, I had a feeling that article was going to do a lot of damage, and I do believe it might have been Card Hoarder that referenced the article, or GoBots I think was the one that really leaned in on it. That was like, that article was really irresponsible, and I agree. And I think that article, I think that things had already been on a bit of a downswing, but I think what really pushed it into overdrive was that article, and I think that it just could have been handled a lot better.
So in response to that, there was an article on Quiet Speculation about sort of what was going on. What really happened? You see this chart and you see the value of Magic Online, and then you see it start declining, and you see what collections that used to be to own a playset of the cheapest version of every Magic card ever printed on Magic Online would have cost you $28,000 in September of 2016 before treasure chests were announced. 1 year later, they cost you $22,500. And before Arena went into open beta, September 2018, it would have cost you roughly $18,000, and now roughly $14,000.
Wow.
These numbers continue to go down. And the way that he explains it is that it's not, Arena or whatever. The issue of all these falling prices is the treasure chest fix. Yeah. And the way he kind of describes it is he says, the way that they're paying out treasure chests is that everyone else, all the other players in the system, are paying for it. All of your collections are getting slightly undervalued every time one of these cards is open in the treasure chest. And in a way he put it sort of was, think of if you went to a casino and everybody checks their credit card on the way in and somebody hits a jackpot. Well, it pulls a little bit of money from everybody to pay that person's jackpot. Therefore, everyone kind of starts to lose money over time, and the market can only be pushed downward. And something like create a dusting system, remove cards from the system some way, have a wizard bot set up that will pay one ticket for 400 commons or 200 commons or 100 rares or 50 mythics, doesn't matter. And of course, all it does is just set them on fire just to get them out of the system. And treasure chests, they said, look at GoatBot's glutted inventory. They have 2,000 plus easy treasure chests just hanging out. And they said, have wizards bots buy the chests for 2.25 tickets each, as many as you want to feed it, again, gets them out of the system, because every time one of those things is open, more cards are added to the system, and every copy of that card just got cheaper, even if it's just a hair of a percentage.
Yeah, a couple people have touched on the fact that treasure chests are a bigger problem than people realize. With, you know, it was meant to be the solution to a problem, and it ended up creating its own problem. And that's it's a good discussion topic.
Right. I would say that it put a Band-Aid on a situation, which was these prices are kind of getting out of control. We want to get these cards back into the system. Let's create a way that you can get these awesome rares in a different fashion, and we can change up our rewards so we don't just give you packs over and over, because that was devaluing the packs big time. Okay, but now we've kind of come to this point where maybe you've gone too far, and maybe we're seeing the long-term effects of what's happening when this type of system's in place.
But I do want to say one of the good things, if you will, is the Vintage League currently has over 115 people, which is 15 to 20 more than we usually have. And so I haven't had a chance to play much Legacy lately, but it does seem like people who wouldn't normally be interested in the older format specifically are expressing interest in it because they become more affordable. And let's be honest, if you're playing Legacy and Vintage on Moto, you're probably not doing it for the value. Let's just put that out there. So I'm excited to see the sort of influx of new people who are playing formats that I love.
And much like the sort of the Baghdad Bob meme, where the guy's just saying like everything's fine and like everything is blowing up behind them, Magic Online is like, yo, this is gonna be the first weekend, and we're gonna have format challenges and format championships and the Pro Tour and the stuff, and that's gonna be great. And then they had to kind of come back and say a little bit more, and they were like, MTGO is definitely still part of the Magic Esports program. You probably shouldn't say definitely still.
Well, even Aaron Forsyth, I think he had to release a tweet the day of the announcement saying that even paper Magic is going to be around forever, because there were people that were thinking that even paper Magic might become obsolete if this keeps up, and with as much as they're investing in Arena. And he was like, paper Magic's going to be around, for a long time. And that was like, okay, good to know.
Yeah, I mean, paper Magic is like the profit margin is too big, the catalog is too large. That game's not stopping, and I've never imagined that it would. But we'll get to another big change, I think, for later. Either way, this was a lot of like, everything's fine, it's super cool, please stop worrying about us existing, we're going to exist, okay, sure. And to that I say again, we've seen the market go down. I think Anger of the Gods went down to something crazy like, either $1 or less than $1. Now it's back up to like $3.50.
Surgical Extraction is still a $20 to $30 card though. I have also noticed seeing a lot of new faces in other formats. We talked about how those format championships might allow people to actually play formats they enjoy. And so I've seen Sandy Dog playing Vintage, Brandon Burton, famous Burn player, he's been playing older formats. I've seen a lot of people who don't normally play a specific format getting into Pauper, getting into Legacy, and I think that's great.
Yeah, and again, this is the way to play Magic in a ugly, outdated, antiquated way.
It's not that bad.
But it's Magic. It's still Magic. It's still the best game ever made, even if it's a little clunkier and not as shiny as Arena.
I mean, right now, as we speak, 2 of the top 5 Magic channels are playing Magic Online. So
there you go. Aaron, I'll let you take this one. Tell us a little bit about Catlight, what happened to her, and how all of a sudden we are on the pages of Newsweek.
So Catlight is a cast member of the Vendilion Click podcast, along with Jessica, Estefan, Visa, Ali, Emma. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody, their friend Ely or Elizabeth. They are on that show together. Kat has made a huge splash on the SCG circuit, specifically with Bant Spirits. She's basically to Spirits what I am to Dread. She's worked really hard on the deck. She sort of, she was playing it before anybody else really was. And Kat was at SCG Con this past weekend, the Invitational, and her deck was stolen from the Airbnb that they were staying at. Her deck was about half foil, which again, it's still not, it's not a cheap deck to begin with, but when you throw in half of it being foiled, the value really does go up. And she had tweeted out a plea for anybody to return the deck, no questions asked. And when it seemed like the deck was not going to be returned, people in the community just started offering their cards. And again, these are not cheap cards. These are Noble Hierarchs. These are Windswept Heaths. These are Aether Vials. And before we knew it, a spreadsheet had been created. And in less than a day, less than 12 hours, I think, people had assembled enough to get her whole deck. And Kat posted a very, very heartwarming video of her just being in tears. She couldn't even get through the video, just thanking everybody. And then it made its way to Newsweek, where they had covered sort of the article and what happened. And it was just a really, really beautiful thing. And just a really great outpouring of support and a reminder that we're part of an awesome community.
Yeah, it was really terrific. We have another story that's very similar to that that I had a hand in. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But obviously, it's terrific to see everybody come together and make all this happen. And it just happened almost instantaneously. Just kind of a.
And I got to call some folks out here. So there was a very small minority that had a problem with this, and they were like, well, my deck got stolen and no one got me a new deck. And it was a very, very small group of people. And I saw a really great reply to that feedback on Twitter. Somebody had left a comment and they were like, it's entitlement like that leads to people stealing decks in the first place. This idea that I deserve a foil spirits deck, I deserve a Grand Prix top 8. And so it's interesting to note how that entitlement is cyclical, and that's the reason why people end up stealing decks in the first place. Nobody deserves anything, quite honestly, but if you're blessed enough to have something like that happen for you, that's great.
Right. And as a friend of the show, the Maverick Girl, Kendra, noted, they didn't just get the deck back, they completely foiled it.
Yeah, I mean, and it happened so fast. I mean, like Ian says, people went to work like planning to do that, like, I'm gonna do that when I get home from work, and by the time they got home, it was done, like in record time.
Yeah, that was incredible. So, wow, it's quite the news week when the first spoiler from the next set is like the fourth news item. That's kind of where we're at on that one. But there has been a leak of Ravnica Allegiance promos. It looks like a F&M promo, perhaps. It is unclear. I'm gonna try to bring it up on here if I can make this thing work.
People on Twitter were so mad at you for sharing this.
Were they really?
Yeah, they were.
Well, sorry, not sorry. Look, if you follow me, man, I'm going to talk about the spoilers. Just kind of how I am. I'm not one of those who's like, I have to keep it under wraps. Like, no. If you have anything, just give it to me. And in ways that's good, and in ways that's bad. But first day of New Phyrexia spoiler, I was reading that PDF. I was in it. So, Ravnica Legion spoilers.
Busy week.
It's been a busy week. Illuminate the scene. Or Light the Stage is the name of the card. Stage. I think Light the Stage sounds the most correct. It's a sorcery that has Spectacle of 1 red mana. We have no idea what that mechanic is.
Oh my god, I'm completely here for Ravnos Theater Geeks. Like, this is great.
Oh yeah, Rakdos is definitely Theater Geeks. It's going to be great.
Yeah, that's why I identify as a Rakdos.
It gives new meaning to the phrase break a leg.
There you go.
Right.
Well, you exile the top 2 cards of your library, and until the end of your next turn, you can play these cards. And it has the flavor text of, quote, everyone to your places from Judith.
Hold on, that's not what it says. It says, Exilia las dos primeras.
Jesus. You sound like Peggy Hill right now. Like, what are you
Cartas de tu biblioteca.
Como esta usted.
Hasta el final de tu provinio turno.
Jesus. I apologize to the Spanish.
Puedes jugar
what is happening?
Estas cartas.
Oh my god.
Y espectáculo. 1 red mana.
Wow. All
We're
right.
gonna get a quesadilla after this show, you guys.
Yeah, there's been some talk of what Spectacle could be or means. Clearly, it's a cost reduction mechanic, so those are always scary. But for Spectacle to happen, maybe you have to sacrifice one of your own creatures. Pay a red, sack a creature, off you go.
That makes sense to me. You have to sacrifice maybe a permanent.
Mm-hmm. Could do that.
Some sort of spectacle.
It's funny because if you go back and you look at the Great Designer Search, one of the tests was like to design circus cards and cards around circus things. And so people were making clown cars and unicycles and all this other stuff. And you just see this where you're like, wow, Ravnica like dug in deep as Rakdos are the circus performers.
Right. And
they've kind of hinted at it in the past, but now they're just going all in on they do crazy stuff and probably blow up people in the process, aka the spectacle.
We haven't run into much in the way of Rakdos stuff in the Broken Pact yet, but the live show at Twitch, we did have a casino and dance club and sort of a bit of that was more of an Orzhov situation. That was like half Orzhov, half Rakdos. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to presenting my players with an actual honest to goodness Havoc festival. I also did my intro to the Broken Pact in Spanish last week.
Nice. Well, there you go.
The same Spanish you just did?
Correct.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, that award-winning Spanish you guys just heard there.
I did. It was Buenas noches, Ravnica, y bienvenidos a El Broken Pact.
Oh, boy.
You're welcome.
Wow. Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all.
Porque.
Bienvenidos.
No los. Y'all. Well, look, we are going to get a new format. Wizards has to do something with Arena when they don't have all the cards in it. And they've got this set that's going to rotate in 2019, in the fall of 2019. So what you going to do? Well, first of all, you're not going to call it Extended. That's what they're not doing. They're not going to call it Extended. Instead, the artist formerly known as Extended is going to be called Standard Plus. So
Are we going to talk about your theory, or are we saving that for the pre-show?
I moved that on to talk about all the Magic Arena stuff just all together. So we'll talk about the Standard Plus stuff, which this is still Arena stuff, but you know what I'm saying. There's different things that are grouped together. And Arena Standard Plus, people are like, are they going to include Kaladesh? Is Kaladesh so busted that by the time you ban everything worth a crap in it, it's not even really worth including?
I don't know. The promise that's one thing that Arena is lacking, is it doesn't really have anything busted. I mean, if I had the ability to play something broken, I might play Arena.
And maybe you will. Who knows?
Well, hopefully Spectacle will be broken.
Well, okay. I don't know if I hope any mechanic's broken. But either way, the idea of the gods coming back from Amonkhet being a thing, obviously anything close to energy, and energy being good and useful in some manner, like, drives a lot of people crazy. I
imagine
honestly,
the programmers of Arena don't really want to deal with energy.
Well, they already have.
Well, that'd probably be fun to animate.
How great! Yeah, exactly. You could actually have like the Marvel like spinning on the screen, like that would be great.
Well, they've already had it. They've already coded all of it in. They just got rid of it when they did the open beta.
That's right.
Yeah, they cut off Amonkhet and Kaladesh. All of those blocks and every single card worked just fine. So all of it's there. They just need to turn it back on.
Put it in a deep freeze and hit it in Wakanda.
Like, either works Marvel into a Carnage Tyrant.
Wow, that is not nearly broken enough.
Yeah, they're not going to give you that, by the way, in Standard Plus.
Arena, you take what you can get.
I would, however, love to see Shadows over Innistrad block in Arena. I think that would be super fun and lots of fun to play with. But Standard Plus, A+++, would play format again, is coming next year sometime.
I don't know if we skipped over this, but were you going to talk about the commercial that aired during the Game Awards?
I actually had that there, and I skipped over it. My apologies.
Because the world will know, says Sir Mix-a-Lot, and then they just don't have the current world champion in that commercial. Was something that was great.
The world will know everybody but the world champion, but I also have to tell everyone that I'm Sir Mix-a-Lot, because what does Sir Mix-a-Lot look like these days?
Because the whole commercial, you're like, this voice sounds familiar. Who is it? Oh, it's Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Oh, I like big butts.
Lots of great cameos from folks that we know in this commercial, by the way.
Founder of Lady Planeswalker Society.
Yep, Tifa was early. She was the fangirl right at the beginning. Then there was a nice little quorum of Mark Rosewater sitting with Kenji Egashira and who's New Matanami, and Jared Knabenbauer. Right. Who is a pro Jared, who plays a lot of Magic.
And that Garfield cameo is... And
then Richard Garfield shows up while still... He wasn't wearing an Artifact t-shirt, which I really wanted him to be.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that was an interesting commercial.
Quick aside about Artifact. We're not even in splash damage, but that thing has lost over 60% of its players since launch. The viewership is down the hole. And people are basically abandoning ship pretty quickly. Wow. It is the game that if you love to play control mirrors, this is the game for you. There is no other game type. There's no aggro, there's no mid-range, there's no combo. There is control versus control. It is a game of inches, nonstop. And if you like that, Artifact is for you. Fortunately, not for most.
There was also the screw-up in that commercial.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I didn't have it in here because it was weird. Wizards already fixed it.
Okay. But I just wanted to mention it. If you want to look into it, feel free.
Worthy, where it was like really...
Somebody at Wizards did the old copy-paste of a newsletter with an awful headline.
I don't think it was Wizards. I think it was whoever Wizards hired to do the commercial. I think Wizards had zero...
And that's fair.
Not a problem that Wizards caused.
I would have loved to have been the fly on the wall with that conversation.
I'm sure Wizards is watching it and going, cool commercial. And then one guy in the back of the room is like, I can read Japanese. Like, it's not like there aren't people at Wizards who don't read Japanese.
Right.
They've just gotten David McDarby to walk over, and he would have just been like, use a different one.
It's true, but here we are. Either way, let's keep moving here. There was SCG Con happened over the weekend, which was neat. However, what also happened over the weekend was like a foot of snow got dumped on Roanoke, Virginia.
Yeah. Apparently, SCG Con was awesome, by the way. Which, to be fair, it did look really great. People felt like it was the con atmosphere that they were looking for. That they wanted from stuff like GP Vegas and that they wanted from, future Magic Fests. And I really wanted to see the live play D&D show that Jeremy Knoll was running. Obviously, that was my big thing. But they also had the panels for cosplay. They had lots of cool other events like the Cube Championship. It looked like a blast. And then it got, snowed in.
I want to touch on cosplay for a minute. And this might have been GP Portland. I don't remember which event she was at. But damn it, Tarmocat. If you're not following her, go do that. Tarmocat had been working on a Veraska cosplay for weeks, if not months now, and she debuted it over the weekend, and it's so good. It is so, so good. Go follow her. Go look at those pictures. It's just breathtaking cosplay. It blew my mind.
That's fantastic. Unfortunately, they were snowed out Sunday. No public events. They could only show the finals of the Cube draft.
Which was too bad. And
then there was the young man who was in top 8 that couldn't get a ride because the people don't understand that those states just don't have the capacity to deal with it. They may not have plows, they may not have salt, and so for someone like me in Wisconsin, I'm wearing high heels in the snow. It's fine, but in certain states like that, they do fall apart a little bit. And so there were people there who didn't necessarily have the cars, and he was literally on Twitter like, "Hi, I'm in the top 8. I cannot get there. Can someone help me?"
Receive the Roanoke Valley receives that. We lived there when they got one.
It got some of that, and they have they have equipment, but not you get a foot of snow in a day or whatever equipment. You can't control that.
It was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. So
kudos to whoever was in charge of SCG Con though. It looked like among events that have gone smoothly and have gone well, even in the face of feet of snow, looked like SCG Con was an absolute blast.
Yeah, and shout out to Cedric for making light of it. I think there was a clip going around where he had looked, the room was mostly empty.
Cedric and Todd were on commentary,
Todd was great. I'll give it up to Todd.
Todd was great, too.
Even though the last time I talked to him on Twitter, he accused me of dishing on somebody, whatever. Todd, you were great. He played the crazy redneck, and it was great. It was awesome. Great. He knew exactly his role. He was terrific comic relief. He made watching those stupid combo decks watchable.
It was also neat seeing the people kind of make their own fun. You saw the cosplayers that were in the same hotel that were getting together and doing winter Planeswalker picks, which were also gorgeous. You saw people just coming together in hotel banquet rooms or cafeteria areas. Gavin Verhey being one of them. People still coming together and saying, even though we don't have this event, we're still going to make something of this. And so that
the lobby of the hotel essentially turned into the new site for SCG.
Yeah. And the hotel really rolled out the red carpet. They had these mana-colored drinks, I believe. There were little fountains and the cake, and it just sounds like they really made the best of it. It was a good time.
I hope that they keep doing that because we've had our complaints about Channel Fireball and how they run their events, and we'll see how Magic Fests go. But SCG has had a long history, of running great events.
Oh yeah.
And I would go to an SCG Con in the future for sure.
All right. Well, they also mentioned the commentary teams for next year, which Todd is also a part of.
Yeah.
But Cedric and P. Sully are coming back once again. That's terrific. Jerry Thompson along with Brian Gottlieb. So essentially the podcast.
Yep. The GAM.
Yep. The GAM podcast.
Whatever.
Ryan Overturf is coming back again. Todd Anderson and Matthias Hunt along with. And Aaron, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Emma Handy. This is incredible. For as long as I've known Emma has wanted to do coverage. And, even it's never really been about being a pro even. A lot of people look at Emma and she's very good at the game. Obviously she coaches and she has a great eye for the game and she's a solid writer. But the goal was never to be a pro player with Emma. The goal was always to use playing Magic as a platform to eventually get to the point where she could get a coverage gig. And this is huge. This is a trans woman that's going to be on camera doing coverage in a serious capacity. We've never had this before. So this is her history in the making. She certainly deserves it. I know that she wants it so bad. And she's already proven her worth and her ability by doing, we all get a chance to do coverage when we do the VSLs and the Super Leagues, and she's killed it in that arena. She's funny, and I'm wishing her the best. I think she's going to be great.
Yep, I'm certainly pleased to be one part of her journey. She stopped by Gathering Magic and wrote there for a while before she went on to SEG, which was nice.
Okay, but who's the one who recommended her for Gathering Magic?
That would be Aaron Campbell. I mean, I know good stuff when I see it, so I see some good stuff.
I didn't help her journey in any way.
Ruben did absolutely
I don't
zero.
know her.
It's fine. Who knew? But she's
great. And that shapeshifter token is also delightful.
Yeah,
everybody got tokens. So
yeah, everybody got tokens, which is cool. I'll bring up here. I think I have Jerry Thompson's ready to go. So
yeah, so he was like, did anybody get what the reference was for my token? And I never got, what is the reference?
Neither.
It was one of the strategy games he plays. I can't recall.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't that good or that interesting, as I recall. No shade. I'm literally just looking for Emma's photo right here and I can't find it.
Weird flex.
Weird flex, but okay. Yeah, I just can't find Emma's token. Unfortunately, I thought I had it saved. That's
muscle movement, but alas.
All right. Well, we have Magic Mike swag right now. I will send you the link into the chat here. CoolStuffInc.com. You can find all of the Magic swag from the Kickstarters available here. This being not all of it, but a bunch of it. The Dominaria tokens, foil and non-foil. The issue #1 playmat, which is really cool and super colorful. The magnets and the stickers. All those things are available on CoolStuffInc.com. Yeah, so you feel free to search for Magic Mike's. You'll find that stuff, and it'll show right up, or there's links on the homepage and Magic page and stuff like that.
Should I have gotten my Dominaria stuff?
Yeah, I didn't get mine either. So
okay. Well, that's I'll take care of that.
But it's okay. The listeners came first, so that's the good thing. They got their stuff. It's good.
Yes.
Unbelievable. No, it's not okay. I demand retribution. No, I'm kidding. I was just wondering, because if I should have, and it was at my old place in Vegas, then I should probably let my old roommate know.
If you backed the Kickstarter, as in like you paid money to Kickstarter.com, you should have all your stuff.
I don't watch this show, so I didn't do that.
I know. It's awful. It's an awful show. It's terrible. Moving here to Desperate Ravings, and this is going to be an interesting one. This very well could be the red zone. Honestly, we get accidentally the whole red zone. Twitch chat is going to go to subscriber only mode for the Magic channel for the Magic World Cup.
Good.
Yeah, are you now? You say red zone, Evan. Where are you?
I don't believe this is correct.
And Aaron does.
I sure do.
Okay.
And
I will keep my opinion to myself in case a red zone pops up.
Well, I would say that it feels like it feels like solving a problem with a sledgehammer. You know what I mean? Instead of the one that needs a scalpel, and they're just like, well, we're just going to smash it and say nobody gets nothing unless you're paying us money via subscribers. Versus having a moderator team that is backed up with training, that is backed up with clear guidelines, that is backed up and staffed, that is paid. They pay their staff in some way. Again, you can pay these people with database ones and zeros. You don't actually have to give them money. You know this. But they don't. That's the fix I want.
I do agree. I think ideally moderation would be the way to go. However,
everything is good in moderation.
Absolutely, but I do find it fascinating. There, people are making it seem like you're forming these deep connections in Twitch when it's like, have you visited a Twitch that large? Like, I've been there as a participant and as a moderator, and past a certain size, it's nothing but emoji and the word Paul every 37 seconds. Like, you're not having this deep discussion there. You know, there are some people who might host it on their own streams and kind of having their own little community kind of getting in there. But I do believe that once it reaches a certain point, you know, it's just not this great experience that people are chalking it up to be. And if people don't know how to behave, you know, it's a privilege, it's not a right. And we see time and time again, kind of like chat in Magic Online, that more often than not, nothing good comes from it. And if they're not willing to get a moderator team, which it seems like they're not willing to do that, then I think this is the next best thing. And if people have clearly demonstrated that they don't know how to act, then
I think my favorite is to relate this a little bit to Artifact, who, in response to their game being completely abandoned, came out and said, hey, we're in it for the long haul, and check out this new feature coming with the next update where you can have the characters on the board say anything you want them to say. And I was like, guys, this is the internet. What are you doing? Yeah. Like, this doesn't end well. So Twitch chat, unmoderated chat, you know, anything sort of beyond emotes, if you will, can just get kind of dicey and gross. And certainly Dix in the chat,
just gonna go there.
Ian Dixon in the chat knows all about this, has been doing moderation for a very long time, and I'm certainly has a lot more intricate, I can imagine, you know, well-reasoned thoughts than us on the outside looking in.
We're going to give a quick shout out to the Eyes on the Mize podcast, which is Ian Dixon and John Wells, two big fans of ours on this show, and I'm big fans of theirs as well, and we're both big fans of theirs. Obviously, John used to edit my Critical Role podcast back when I did that, and we know Dix, obviously, from the LRR streams and all of the streams and Desert Bus and all that stuff. Right. His next episode and their next episode of Eyes on the Mize is a must-listen to because of this issue.
Excellent. So check that out.
I don't know where I fall on this because you both bring up good points of positives and negatives, and it's, man, it is rough. It's a situation I need to study more.
Yeah, it's not an easy situation to just, you know, this is the fix, obviously, or we'd have had it years ago.
Right,
like,
exactly. So I'm going to sit on the fence because I'm a coward.
Continue to struggle. Well, look.
Okay, Boogie.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Oh my God.
Both sides.
Both sides. All right, so something that was really, really awesome, which was I got to pitch in a little bit, do what I could in my part, and to get Rhino, MTG Young Mage, fan of the show, very well could still be awake, but I think he has school tomorrow, so get bed. But there was a fundraiser for a seizure monitor for Rhino. They were looking for $2,000. Essentially, Rhino has epilepsy, and he has seizures as a result. And last week he had a seizure so bad, put him in the hospital, which is very scary. And then it kind of goes on to explain that not only does he have an issue with this, his parents have to watch him constantly, have to sleep next to him to make sure if he has a seizure, they're there to help and assist and you know, and see what sort of happens from there. So to help fix that, they're going to raise money, or they have raised money, to give him an Apple Watch along with an app they can use to let the parents go sleep in their own bed. And if he does have a seizure, the Apple Watch can detect that and set off an alarm, so then they can go tend to him, which is terrific. And so I got behind this. I threw a little money its way, and I said, hey guys, let's get the boy a seizure monitor. We can do this. And man, the community just like it in the course of maybe 8 hours, maybe 7 hours.
Same thing with the cat thing. You know, I saw the fundraiser go live as I was going to work, and I was like, I'm gonna donate to that when I get out, because work's been so busy. I haven't really even had time to check Twitter. And then by the time I got off of work, it was funded. I remember looking at the Discord on the bus home, and I was like, what? It's funded? And I still threw in my $20, and I was like, this is amazing. And just seeing the list of names of the people who came together and companies who came together that were like, you know, this is something we can do. And I just have to say, it was such a nice change of pace to like have so much good news to cover, where you know, I'm going through the list of topics and I didn't dread, where it was like, oh, we got the cat thing, we got the Rhino thing, we have the arena announcement,
other animal related
it's been
other than cats and rhinos.
Nice. Well, it felt good to make it happen. TCG Player came in there with a $400 donation. CoolStuffInc.com matched it. The original. And
this was all started by CardSphere, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, this was created by CardSphere after they heard about the issues involved, and it was just incredible how quickly we got to that $2,000, and now at $2,280, they're going to give the excess to Ronald McDonald House, which is great. So yeah, it's just a beautiful day.
Did you see that him and Dana Fisher did like a podcast the other day?
Yeah. Really?
It was the cutest damn thing. I was like, God. I'm completely here for this.
Smart. He works really hard. Like I've got to hang out with him at a couple of events. He interviewed me at GP Vegas. He doesn't have like an off switch. He is like, that's actually him. He is there. Like the work ethic that he has is enviable.
That sounds a lot like what they used to say about me. They're just like, no, that's really how he is. Like the whole time. And I'm like,
Right.
You know, people have been my employee. I'm telling you, I'm just. This is who I am. I'm this guy. Well, speaking of good things, good decisions, Brandon Sanderson. This just again kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Brandon Sanderson, like incredible fantasy author, creator of the Cosmere universe and the Wheel of Time, finished the Wheel of Time up. He decided to, or they hired him to write a novella called Children of the Nameless that introduces Davriel, a new planeswalker designed by Sanderson, which is awesome. And I'm telling you, I read 4 paragraphs of this thing and I was like, oh my God, this is like the best Magic story I've ever read. Like the concept is fantastic. Just go ahead and read page 1. Just go read page 1 and tell me that is not some of the most interesting, cool character development that happened in 4 paragraphs that you can see happen like during the entire Amonkhet, whatever. It was just like, guys, the characters are super cool. I was reading a bunch of it and it was great. I kind of got through a couple chapters. It is quality stuff.
I read the preview chapter and was pretty fat. I like the character idea and the concept of, carving out his own little corner of Kessig on Innistrad and having these 2 very different characters who have to sort of interact because they have a common goal together. I haven't read the story yet, but the framework is really interesting.
So the only thing I know about Brandon Sanderson is he's the reason for Elantris's name.
Yes.
Nice. Well, let me give you the quick setup. Just a little quick, like here's how the story starts, all right? There's these twin sisters, okay? But they're cursed. And
I know this joke.
Nice. Well, one of the sisters, when the sun comes up, she turns blind. And she can only see when the sun goes down. So she only sees nighttime, only sees when the moon is up. Her twin sister has the exact opposite problem. She can see during the day, but she's blind at night. And he calls it the second darkness. And I was just like, this is so cool. And it's super cool. And I love it. And it was neat. And this guy is a pro and is well loved for a reason. There's an entire interview on.
So wait, have the sisters never seen each other?
Correct. They can never look each other in the eye because they both, Wow. And I was like, I love this. This is great. That was fan-freaking-tastic. Absolutely loved it. Can't wait to read the rest of the story. It's sweet. I put a link in the in the chat there, so you guys can check it out on wizards.com. But there's nothing but positivity here. I think there's some blowback in terms of like the ebook formatting or the ebook font, and I'm like, whatever. The story is great, and that's what's important.
So this is a novella. How many pages?
I'm not exactly sure. No.
I want to read this later, but like I don't want to,
it's pretty
my time.
Pretty chunky, as far as I understand it.
Because novella can mean 100 pages.
You just described it chunky.
Oh yeah, it's a big chunk of words. It's like 40K. I think 40,000 words is novella length, something like that. 100,000 words is novel length. Anyway, so we go from that awesome win.
250 pages. All right, that's about right.
Okay. And yeah, it's good. So from the highs of Brandon Sanderson's now writing stuff about Magic, which is great, to remember when Magic Online was like, everything's fine, this is cool, we're still part of the Pro Tour, you can still get there via Magic Online. Well, Tommy Ashton, well-known, or at least certainly back in the day, well-known pro. He's super
He's a legend in the Magic Online community. He's won more MTGO PTQs than like any other.
What's his screen name?
Stainerson.
So Stainerson, aka Tommy Ashton, notes that the 12-15-18, that is in 3 days, the 12-15-18 MTGO RPTQ deadline to register today filled at 212 sometime on Monday. So 2 days ago it filled up. The earliest it ever has. I and 15 plus other players don't get to participate. I understand tournament organizers having caps based on space and cost issues in the real world. And I added the real world, but in the real world, that's what happens. And he says, I don't get it for Magic Online. WotC wouldn't add people because it would add an 8th round of Swiss, which is considered, quote unquote, unfair.
But didn't they also have issues in the past, like with just size capacity and like the systems crashing? Like, wasn't that a technical thing too?
I don't know, but he notes that he's never joined the anti-MTGO crowd because the MTGO team has always tried to correct for whatever turbulence arises. The people behind the software are actually pretty consumer friendly. So he's got a hope, they hope that they'll reconsider on the cap for something this important.
And they did. This has been fixed.
Oh, terrific. Well, I am so glad to read that.
That was MTGO had a tweet earlier where they say they're extending it from 8 to 9 rounds and that it's
Oh, well, that is awesome. Well, that is the best news we've gotten even during the broadcast.
Right.
That's terrific because even some people, and there was a tweet later from Elliot Fortier had said, somewhat related, but some people had their pro status kick in on Monday, meaning they were not bronze for either of the paper RPTQs near them, but are bronze now and able to play in the RPTQ, but then they couldn't, but now they can. So that's great. Good job, Magic Online. Let's make that stuff happen. There was a point in which a very famous Mr. Brian Kibler got really upset at Magic Online because of the way their PTQ, I think, crashed, as I recall, and he was in the middle of that. And he basically quit. He quit Magic for Hearthstone. He said, "I'm taking my ball and I'm going home." And so these days, Wizards is like, "Hey, Brian, we love you. Would you please play our game? And would you please do a promotion for Magic Arena?" I can only imagine how delicious it had to have been for Brian Kibler to announce that he has a special event on Magic Arena coming this weekend from the 14th to the 17th. If you play a creature with converted mana cost 4 or more, it also draws you a card. So play your Nicol Bolas, draw a card, and they discard a card.
That had to feel pretty good. Like I bet it was, and you get to see his face, and his face is going to be up there, and it's good stuff.
I mean, he's a pretty dude. What do you want me to tell you?
I love these.
It ain't my mug up there.
I have to say though, the first time I met Kibler, I had him on the deck tease. He was one of my best interviews, and he's one of those people that is really worth the hype. I will never forget. I was at Gen Con, and he was working for the company that made Stoneforge. Was it Stoneforge? They made
yes, Stoneforge Entertainment.
Yeah, and I remember being in line to buy something and seeing the way that he just dealt with people. Where not only was he a good-looking guy, but you had people that were a little grumpy. They're like, "I've been waiting in line," and whatever. And he was able to look at them and talk them down. And he just has amazing people skills. He obviously has good business acumen. He really just is the package, and he deserves everything.
Yeah, he's
an incredibly charismatic dude who grew up nerdy. He's the first to admit.
Also a big kid. I was
just going to say he grew up a fat kid.
Talked about it on my show where I had kind of asked him about how do you feel when people say positive things about you, and I remember talking about that where he's like, I will always feel like the fat kid on the playground. And I know sometimes he'll put up that as his user picture, his Twitter picture will be a grade school picture, and he's just very humble. Just deserves everything.
Absolutely.
I love these streamer event things. They kicked it off at TwitchCon with Day 9 and
what would yours be?
What would ours be?
Gosh, what would ours be?
Mine would probably be you can just use your graveyard as a hand.
No, yours is everything has dredge X, where X is the converted mana cost. Go completely insane.
Ruben, yours would have to be burn related.
Burn, I know.
Or monocolored or painter-esque type thing, everything is one color.
What would yours be, Evan? You don't really have a niche.
His niche is that he brings other tokens.
Yeah, I bring people.
Every time you play a creature, you make a 1, or every time you make a spell.
All your creatures have Convoke, or all of your.
Yeah, all your creatures and spells have Convoke.
Yeah. Maybe mine is just all creatures have haste.
That'd be neat. That'd be crazy. Well, there's another one coming up from Amy the Amazonian.
Amazonian, yeah.
Yeah,
she was
Amazonian.
At the pre-release 3 times ago.
Okay. Well, she notes that she's got some big news from December 21st through December 24th. Play anything draft. M19. Don't put any lands in your deck because you ain't going to need them. Everything is free. That draft's going to be insane.
Her announcement video was really clever. She kind of did the take on like her playing two characters. So you have the one character that's like, you know, I'm mana screwed. I don't have any lands. And on the other side of the table, she's like, I have too many lands. And it's like, what's the best way to deal with both of this? Lands just don't matter. And so it was a very clever way to introduce her format.
I like the Freak 13 who said that Evans is ninjutsu everything for his love of Kamigawa. And I'm like, all creatures have ninjutsu. Think what their mana cost? Yes.
That's adorable.
That's fantastic. Quick note for those who are playing the Play Anything draft: get all the draw spells. Okay, remember to take all the draw spells. Divination is like the best card in that format.
Yeah.
Just so you know. One thing, Wizards announced some weird changes, and there's some changes to the prize payout that I don't really want to get into. But competitive events are changing their prices quite a bit. You want to research that if that's something you care about. I don't feel like I have a good enough grasp on it to explain it in a succinct way. But I can explain Guilds of Ravnica draft bot personalities.
Yeah.
So right now we've been
Really
drafting.
interesting.
Yeah, we've been drafting against 7 clones, 7 random scripts that do things based on rules that they have give them, yada yada yada. Well, now there's going to be people, or there's going to be personalities that like Boros, and personalities that like Dimir, and personalities that like Naya, for example. And there's going to be the default personality. That's super exciting, isn't it? But that means that you're going to get different drafters at your table rather than the same thing 7 other times. Because I certainly know in Guilds of Ravnica and in M19, there were certain things that you could draft or certain things you could count on that would come around sometimes later than expected. I saw some Boros stuff in Guilds of Ravnica just like filthy late, like Tajik's 7th pick, 8th pick type stuff, just nasty. And you're just like, what is going on? What's happening in our world here? And so it's weird to me that they would do this. They would explain it. They would tell you about when it's going to start, but they will not tell you the personalities involved in your draft. Even if it's not, like, you don't necessarily even have to tell me, the Boros guy's here and the Izet guy's there, but you could say, here are the personalities in your draft. That would be interesting. Or even just maybe after the draft is over. That'd be kind of neat just to know, you were, who were the 7 personalities in this draft. You're like, oh, neat. I would just like to know that in some fashion, because I thought that was fascinating. So this is more neat than really impactful to, I think, how you're going to play your draft Magic Arena.
I have no complaints about it. I think it's a fascinating idea. I think the potential for upside is huge, and I think it's just a good move. Yeah,
and it's good stuff. Now, they also announced, and I'm going to try to get this up as quickly as possible, they also announced their rewards, their season-based rewards, and I'll bring them up here on the screen. So if you grind through the best of 1 queues, and remember, there's no best of 3 that has a season reward and whatnot and gets you ranked matches, only best of 1 limited, best of 1 constructed. Well, if you go bronze, you get a pack. Beyond that, pack and 500 gold, and then 2 packs and 1,000, 3 packs and 1,000, 4 packs and 1,000, and 5 packs and 1,000 gold for being mythic level at the end of the season. The first season is going to end at the end of January. So January 31st, that's going to wrap up. And we're going to be able to, see what the payouts are. And the constructed changes that I was talking about earlier, as they're paying out in a different way, and they're trying to make them very similar in terms of best of 1 and best of 3, it's affected by these rewards. If you do very well in those events could reward you more. But if you do poorly in them, obviously you're not going to go up the rank, which means you're not going to get the rewards. So it's not quite clear how good or bad this may be.
Yeah, is this a decrease in prize?
It is, based on what people have said so far, is that it's a significant decrease depending on how you look at it.
I'm going through the comments section of this thread for where they announced this, and it seems like people are not pleased.
I mean, at this point, I can imagine they're used to anything they change. A lot of people are not going to be pleased. Arena just kind of cranks up the angry Magic player to 11 at times.
Sure.
One of the things they noted at one point, I actually don't think it's in this one, but they noted at one point, and I read it and I was like, oh my God. They said something like, someone said something like, best of 3, why can't best of 3 be ranked or whatever? And they said something like 97% of 250,000 games are best of 1. there's a reason for that. It's because they basically hide the best of 3 behind a menu that you have to look at the advanced version and then sign up for the right event to know. And so Saffron Olive was saying the people would contact him and say, okay, when do I unlock best of 3? And he's like, you don't unlock best of 3. It's always been there. You probably just didn't know how to find it. So let's think about these steps logically, okay? You have Goblin Crater Maker, who, if you go back and look at what they have in the M files, what they have in their database where the developers talk about the card, they mention adding this weird destroy a colorless thing ability to help it in either best of 1 or no sideboard games or something along those lines, to help it in a one match and done type feel. Well, you have that. Then you have, they're going after that Hearthstone money, hashtag that Hearthstone money. Then you have 97% of these games are 1-game matches. Then you have the Player of the Year match turned into 5 best of 1 games. Remember that? The sideboard is not going to be in competitive Magic much longer. I'm just telling you right now. It might be in the older formats, but for Standard, I think it's gone because it's faster. It's easier to get from A to B. You're not watching the same deck 3 times. You're watching different decks all the time. Imagine if the Pro Tour said you don't bring 1 deck to the Pro Tour. Right. You bring 3 decks to the Pro Tour.
Like they decided the Luis Salvato, Seth Manfield.
Exactly. You bring a selection of decks. Your opponent can maybe ixnay a color or something, or say that you can't play a certain deck, and they have a list of decks they get to choose from. I don't know. I'm throwing spaghetti against the wall. What I'm saying is
to my wall.
What I'm saying is I don't think there's going to be sideboarded games at these arena championships. Because they don't push it. They don't push it to the players. It's not what players are used to, quote unquote, coming from other esport games, right? Magic is weird compared to other ones.
You also can't have so let's say they do this. You can't. We don't, to my knowledge, you can't just have it in one format though.
I mean, again, you can. I don't know how they're going to slice it. I'm spitballing here because
never going to be on Arena, Aaron.
Dredge is not going to win.
Ain't going to happen.
Right. Look, I'm trying to just read the runes here, so I'm not sure if any of this is even correct, but I feel like the winds are pushing towards 1-game matches, whatever that means. Yes, Aaron would love to have 1-game matches forever in Vintage. Yes. And so someone mentioned that, removing all 3 games is going to make the win percentage of all these well-known pros much, much worse. It's going to increase the variance quite a bit because that's what that best of 3 was supposed to do, was to get that variance down. I mean, how many matches have you lost game 1 but came back in 1, 2, and 3? If you're a competitive player, that happens all the time because, for example, your matchup post-board is so much better than pre-board. Yeah. Well, now they're trying to make that not really matter, or they're trying to make cards that work super well in a 1-game format, like a Goblin Crater Maker, where you're like, why is this thing destroying colorless whatevers? Because of this random thing that Play Design found for the set that's coming up, for you to be able to play this card in a 1-game format.
It is a huge change for Magic players because we're so used to playing best of 3s and having access to sideboards and having essentially the mid-range archetype is founded on having kind of a bad game 1 matchup and then planning on winning games 2 and 3. Just mid-range in general has always sort of been like that. But that's not, we're not the target audience, remember. This is not a this is not a maintain Magic players decision. This is a get new Magic players decision.
Right. This is one of those, everything is changing, and I know it's going to be difficult, but just because we lose sideboards out of the Pro Tour, Mythic Championship, whatever environment, doesn't mean it's worthless per se. It just means there's going to be more variance, and it's honestly going to reward those 32 people in the league because they can take those variance swings. They're fine because they're still going to be there for the next one. They're going to be there for the next one all year long. So it kind of behooves them to have that sort of advantage, as it were.
Right. I mean, and also to be clear, we've had this hashtag that Hearthstone money. I think Arena now has that Hearthstone money. They have it. They got they've almost achieved their goal. Hearthstone is on the decline as far as I can tell. It's still the top dog. It's still
the top dog.
There. It's still super popular. All the top card game streamers are still. But folks like Savitz SAVJZ, who you might have seen, is going to come out of card game retirement to try to make the arena thing happen. Lots of other card game folks like Trump and Amaz and, you know, big names like that. Like we had Kriparian and Noxious at TwitchCon, and we've seen, you know, lots of big streamers getting into arena. It seems like that they have the groundswell. Like they're going in that direction. And so I think that they kind of have that Hearthstone money at this point.
I mean, they're getting there, and they're certainly paying top dollar in order to get the attention necessary to get yourself in those conversations, you know?
And they're sort of transforming the competitive scene. They see what Hearthstone's done, and they say, well, we see what the ladder does, and we see what this conquest format does in Hearthstone. I guess we'll just take that because people are used to it, which is fine.
Yeah. All right. So, unfortunately, we're pretty much out of time. But we are going to pick a winner in our giveaway. I'm going to hit the pick winner button. I hit the pick winner button. Do it. Why are you doing this?
Speaking of cosmetics, somebody in the chat mentioned cosmetics. You'll notice there was a really, I don't know if this was publicized or not, but they changed the tokens on Magic Online. When I was playing last night, I've had these ugly ass zombies for ages. Oh no, girl. I have Shadows over Innistrad zombies now.
Ooh.
And I didn't do that. And so whoever did that, bravo. And I've seen a couple of other people who play token decks, and their tokens have also changed. So thank you for that lovely little quality of life difference.
That's nice. Evan, yes.
Did you? Are there 3 winners?
Oh God, I hit the button 3 times.
Jesus, you can't even help but reproduce winners. Jeez.
Well,
all right. The winner is Bloodgaze. I'm sorry, that was the last one. I was going to go with that. I apologize for anyone who was falsely announced.
Get him, Twitch. Get him.
Forgive me. I'm the worst. Bloodgaze wins. It's fine.
Okay.
We love you. Don't kill us.
That's quite the.
Don't kill me.
Yeah.
3 winners, seriously.
One of the other winners is in the chat and was like, "Sweet, oh."
I'm the worst. I apologize. I was doing the typical, like, you know, old person. Why is it not working? Hey y'all.
So then you accidentally get 17 of the same shirt sent to your house because you accidentally checked out.
Exactly. So I'm going to go through here for our subs and resubs. Mr. Labufu, 7 months. He said, my Prime sub ran out. Take another 7 months hype. Absolutely.
Thank you. Also, Lubu, when you have another article about the Magic Online economy, let us know, because I'm sure that you have more to say on
Lubu took Dredge to his RPTQ this past weekend, and I think you made top 8, didn't you? You did reasonably well with it, yeah.
Very nice. Well, MTG Young Mage that we talked about earlier, Rhino, resub via Prime for 8 months. Thank you very much.
Congrats on the Kickstarter and being great.
Congrats on being healthy.
All right. Tesla Prime is resub via Prime for 2 months. Thanks a lot, which is appreciated. Drakeps has subscribed via Prime. Super Nintendo
Chalmers.
Chalmers, 1998, sub for 4 months.
That's a Simpsons reference, Evan.
Oh, I don't know what that is. Anyway, Terrence WHT sub via Prime. Thank you very much. And Ruben, let's talk about some bits.
The #1 bit giver this week is our good, close personal friend, Sexy Soy.
Yeah.
1,000 bits. Martin Casa, 400 bits this time around. Smilcows, 400 bits. House of Shadow gave us 69 bits.
Giggity.
Nice.
Nice, there we go. T.S. Saliok, 35 bits. Mr. Lubufu, 20 bits. And Mox Ruby, I watched an ad before the show started, so I gave us 5 bits. just to get things rolling, you know? Like when you see a guy playing a guitar on the street and he opens up his, you know, he puts his hat out there, it doesn't have any money in it yet, so he puts his own dollar in there.
That's like liking your own selfies.
Yeah, you got to get it started, man. You don't want to be the first.
We throw the snowball down the hill, so it can, you know,
right, exactly. So
fine.
Get started.
Very nice.
All right. Yeah, hashtag charity. Be sure to use, so this is the Bit Blizzard thing that Twitch is using right now. You guys should use the hashtag charity when you give bits.
Oh, terrific.
Now and like end of December. There we go.
Very nice.
31,000 so far.
So click on that link and learn more about the Blizzard of Bits. Basically, every bit donation that you give between now and December 27th, all of the bits go to us, but there will be additional monies given to the direct relief charity direct from Jeff Bezos's pocket. So be sure to spend more of Jeff Bezos's Amazon dollars, and yeah,
because they have lots and lots of them. And that said, that means we're going to turn the corner here to the finisher. Hasbro announced plans today for its first indoor water park and family resort, themed around some of its biggest toy and game franchises. According to sources, the Hasbro Resort is set to open in a currently unannounced location by 2022. Now, surely rides and installations inspired by Monopoly, Hungry Hungry Hippos, My Little Pony, Mr. Potato Head, Candyland, and Nerf are going to be fun and all, but the headliner for us, obviously, is Magic the Gathering. So tell me, what is your mythic idea for Hasbro Land's MTG experience? Ruben?
Folks, you'll pay for the whole seat, but you'll only need the rusty serrated edge for the most hellhole flailing, ick-spitting, shred-freaking show on Earth. Come one, come all to Hasbro Land's Havoc Festival at the Rakdos Carnival. It's the last show you'll ever need to see.
Oh boy.
Wow. Aaron?
Well, Hasbro Land is introducing a modern thrill ride that runs circles around the rest, reaching uncountable bad beat stories into the sky before plummeting into the most twisted web of corkscrews, spins, and most of all, loops you've ever faced. Kids, get ready for the roller coaster of your dreams and your nightmares. Feel the greatness of KCI.
Oh my God. Look. Assemble guests of Hasbro Land. It is I, Magic's Mickey Mouse, Jace. Now, being a water park, Hasbro Land already proves Blue Mana's dominance, and I'm very excited to show you the piece de resistance, the Jace Bellerin Experience, a live show where every time feels like your very first. Every time. You look at the light and you hit the button. That ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thank you for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you. See you soon.
Absolutely. Moving here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-hosts, Aaron Campbell and Ruben Bresser, you guys for watching and listening, and hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, Twitch.tv at Magic Mics, on Twitter at Magic Mics Cast, on our Magic Mics subreddit, and like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Talk to us privately at MagicMicsPodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at MagicMicsPodcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes, or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.